Welcome to the High Stakes Podcast, where we talk to cool people that live here in Vegas. And today we have a very special guest. I haven't seen her in a long time, but now she's here. She looks beautiful as
Oh,
always. Today we have Jenny Patterson. Jenny, how are you?
Chris, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation to join you in this podcast. I've seen a few of your episodes. It looks so much fun. You're one of my best friends. Of course, I had to be here.
Thank you so much. Jenny, uh, tell us, are you originally from Vegas? Have you been here a long time? Why don't we start there and then we'll go in regards to what it is that you do, which is what we talk about in every podcast that we have. But tell us originally where you're from and how did you get here to Las Vegas?
So, I was born in Mexico City. My family is originally from Mexico, and actually, my family story is crazy. I trace this back to Europe, but we all ended up in Mexico City, and I was born there, and we moved when I was 11 years old to Las Vegas and been here ever since.
So you moved here, you were 15. Do you go to high school here?
I did. I did. I actually started fifth grade here.
Okay.
Elementary called, oh my God, I'm Oren K. Gregson over by Stewart and Lamb, that area.
That was my jam right there. That was
Yeah.
my area. What high school did you go to?
Then I went to Woodbury Middle School, and
Okay.
then I graduated from Chaparral High School.
Chaparral High School. Did they have a music program there?
No, they didn't.
No.
I mean, well, they did, but I wasn't part of it.
Right. So you're in high school. Your family's here in Vegas. Are you liking Vegas? Coming from a big city like Mexico City, or are you too young to remember that transition?
It was an interesting change because on one end it was the excitement of a new country,
Sure.
the excitement of a new way of life, a new system. Coming from Mexico City, where you lived in a high rise, I lived on a sixth floor. My parents never let me out play on the street.
Sure.
You know how that was, and always a lot of fear about don't talk to strangers. Then you move to a new country where now all of a sudden we can play on the street and ride our bikes and
Very
talk to your
different.
neighbors. That was like my childhood, so that was one of the very first things. But of course, I do miss, and I still have fond memories of Mexico. Even though I moved here, I think I still kept very in touch with my roots. My first language still Spanish.
Sure.
I ended up marrying, and my daughter's dad is from Mexico City.
Right.
All my best friends,
Thank
like
you.
you, are
Thank you.
also from Mexico. So
Yeah.
I still have very strong ties to that.
You're now in Vegas. I know that you did a little bit of dancing as well. You're in the entertainment world. You did that a little bit, but tell us. I think your mom had a company, and that's how you started. It kind of made you where you are right now in that kind of guideline. How did that start, and tell us how you became involved with it.
It's a great story. My mom was a travel agent in Mexico,
Mm-hmm.
so travel basically is in my DNA. I grew up traveling. I saw my mom selling travel. Mind you, I was only 11, but of course,
Sure.
she sent me to summer camps to Canada when I was 8 years old,
Yeah.
and she convinced other parents to travel and send off their kids back in the 80s
Yeah.
across, to
Different times.
countries. Yeah, exactly. And so there was an opportunity where this is when Las Vegas was just evolving, and there wasn't really a company that catered to the Mexican or the Spanish speaking traveler. I'm talking to you 1990.
Yeah.
And my mom had ties from different trade shows to the city and had a few hotel contacts. And at the time, there was a company that was looking to set up a direct flight, a charter flight. But there wasn't a company that was here to service and do all the inbound work, meaning the people coming here, who was going to give them transportation? There was no customer service. So it's what we call the receptive operator in the travel industry. So my mom was ready to get out of Mexico City. She had gone through a few, hard situations. And she decided to embark and move countries and set up shop and open up a receptive operator here in Las Vegas in 1991. And for many years, we were the leading company that catered to the Latins visiting Las Vegas. And I started helping her at 13 years old,
Yeah.
typing on a typewriter
I
the
mean,
rooming list that we would send to the hotels. And that's how I got started in the company.
By the way, that's a great story, and we're going to have to get your mom to tell us a little bit more about that. But let's talk about you now. You're bringing people to, in my opinion, one of the most exciting cities in the world. Now, if you ask some other people, they're going to say, "Well, you haven't traveled." I get it, but the whole world comes to Las
Of
Vegas.
course.
It's a beautiful thing. What was it like when you started traveling, comparing other cities? Because now you're in the whole in the industry. Now you don't only promote Vegas, but everything. If I think what you do is correct. What are the difference between Vegas and, let's say, Europe? Because I remember I was at a talk that you were given, and you said to the crowd, "Now, guys, we're used. Europe is a little bit different in regards to the hotels. Why don't you tell us a little bit what the main differences are as a tourist if I wanted to come here to Vegas versus, let's say, Europe?"
So I hope I don't sound biased, but at the end of the day, it's the reality. Las Vegas was a city that was born to entertain.
Yes.
It was created to provide entertainment. It was created to provide an experience. Of course, it evolved, but at the beginning of the story of Las Vegas, first of all, it was a mining town. And then, not a mining town, it was a stop for the gold rush, you know. Then we had the mob here, and so it's continuously evolved. But it wasn't. It's always been the evolution of the city has been to entertain.
Yeah.
So everything that has been built with that purpose, right? So when you come here, that's the purpose of the city,
It's the best.
to cater to that. Whereas when you visit other countries, you're really there to visit and get to know their culture, their
Sure.
way of life.
Sure.
It's just a place that exists, but it's not meant to entertain. Does it make sense?
It makes a lot of sense.
And so, of course, for example, when I was giving that talk, I was explaining hotels, right?
Yeah.
Hotels here are thousands and thousands and thousands of rooms, whereas you go over to Europe and a hotel or hostel can be 10 rooms, 20 rooms. I traveled to Mallorca, and we'll talk about that later.
Yes.
But it's funny because when we count sometimes the entire number of rooms at one of our properties doesn't cover the entire number of rooms in the island, right? Because there the hotels are 60 rooms, 70 rooms, and those are big hotels. They're huge.
And then when you talk to a guy like me who's used to Vegas and he sees anything other than what I'm used to, it's like, what are we doing
It's
here?
culture
Well,
shock.
what's going
Yeah,
going on?
it's a shock. But you're there to admire and experience
Sure.
different things. You're there
Sure.
to admire the way of life of other people in other countries.
Yes.
Here, you're coming to have a blast and be entertained.
That sounds pretty good to me. I gotta be honest with you. You can entertain me every day. I have no problem with that. So now we're in the 90s. Let's fast forward a little bit, early 2000s. And if you were here in Vegas in the early 2000s.
I was.
And what a great time those early 2000s it was. We have seen a lot of construction coming up on the strip from the early 2000s to what it is today. A lot of people are saying Vegas is getting out of hand with the prices. Tell us a little bit about your opinion on that, because you've been so close to it throughout your whole life, and what a better person to ask. What do you think of the Vegas prices experiences right now?
Oh my God! I hope there's no hotel partners listening to this podcast, Christian. This has got to be my honest opinion.
Sure.
I am disappointed because I think, going back to what I was just mentioning, how Vegas was designed to entertain with a customer-first mentality and wanting to provide world-class experiences. We all understand that there's a cost to that.
Sure.
And I think the travelers are very conscious of that. But then there's a border between abusing the customer with prices. And honestly, I think that's exactly what's happening, because the increases, I don't think, are going in relation with the value we're providing, right? I would admit it. I wouldn't mind, and I don't mind seeing hotels that end up charging a little more because they're providing more value. They're providing more entertainment. That's why room rates are supposed to go up.
Sure.
But when you start just increasing prices, hey, parking used to be free. Nothing has changed about the parking structure is exactly the same, right? And it was something that you provided to the guests. It was value because come visit us. We provide a place for you to park. Now all of a sudden you're having to pay for the exact same parking structure that hasn't changed a bit. So that's one of those examples.
What do you think that is? Is it? I mean, we all understand we all got to make money, and it's a business. But I've also seen the change in regards to entertaining that it was given. I'm a musician. You are a musician yourself. There used to be a lot of lounges where you could go see live music. That's no longer the case. Now we're into electronic music, which is also cool, but it eliminated a big part of that scene. Also, younger crowds coming into Vegas, which I've seen and I've noticed. Where do you think we're going? Do you think Vegas can sustain this? I mean, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because of all of the social media chatter that I've been seeing over the last week on TikTok, which take that for what it is. But do you see it damaging the industry, the tourist industry, or is it going, or it is what it is, or are these are the prices?
Vegas will always have its clientele,
Yeah.
but in terms of driving new visitors and driving new entertainment, it's I think it's gonna get tougher. You
Yeah.
know, you're always gonna have the person that loves to come and gamble, they love to come and shop, and they'll have their favorite hotel, their favorite restaurant that they're just gonna come and visit
Sure.
once a year. But driving those new clients when they're we're competing against other destinations, especially new and coming destinations. And then you also have a different kind of traveler that is looking more for experiences and more to understand the local culture. Going back to what we talked at the beginning, we don't have local culture because we were born as an entertainment city. So trying to attract that new kind of, especially the new generations that are looking more for that, more
Yeah.
for immersion in new cultures and not necessarily so much fake. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't like to use that word fake because at the end of the day, it is original because Vegas has created a lot of these concepts. So
One in the world.
you
Yeah.
know, it's gonna get tough if we don't provide value and that goes in relationship to the price.
What are the other places that you're talking about that people are considering that is a hotspot to go travel right now?
We're seeing Asia, for example. Asia is very up and coming. Thailand, Japan, Malaysia, Indonesia.
All of
You
those.
know, Asia, I think, is doing a fantastic job. Of course, Europe will always be Europe, but I think Asia is definitely on the radar for me.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned Asia because now my parents want to go to China, which is something that was like China. You would never talk about going to China. But now, and I think also it has to do with a lot more information coming in of how nice it looks, at least the videos that I've seen on social media. And you mentioned Japan, which it was great. It was great. I think it also, the reason why I liked it, I did, you get to see the culture, but it's also price is very affordable compared to traveling anywhere in the United States right now. You know what I mean? Domenica just went back from Thailand. She loved it. She thought it was great.
Yeah, Vietnam is also one that I've heard. It's that I actually have quite a few friends going just recently to Vietnam, and that's exactly what I'm hearing. It's an undiscovered region. Pricing is still very very affordable. You really get value. You know, it's a new experience. You're seeing the new way of another way of life. So it really brings everything to the table.
We talked about traveling with another friend of ours, that mutual friend of ours, and we said the difference between. And my dad and I had this big discussion, and I'll say it again: the difference between being a tourist and a traveler. When you mentioned Vegas, I got goosebumps because I like the service. I like the hotel. I like to stay in the room and admire the place, right? As opposed to most people, they go, "Why do you want to stay in the room?" I go, "Because I'm paying for the room." Where are you on that spectrum? Are you a traveler or are you a tourist?
I think I'm a little bit of both. It depends on the purpose of my trip.
Okay.
So, because I enjoy doing both things, I'm with you. If the purpose of my trip is to discover the destination, I'm gonna be a traveler 100%. I don't mind staying at a hotel that only provides a bed and a bathroom because I don't plan on being in the hotel. I want to be out discovering, seeing the city, eating, seeing the attractions. Going to the local markets. That's in that sense. But I do want to take a vacation once or twice a year if I can, but if not, at least once a year where I disconnect. And what I
Okay.
want exactly what you want. I just want to go to a resort, lay on the beach,
That's
have
it.
drinks brought to me,
That's it.
the sun and a margarita or a paloma in my hand,
That's all I
and you got
want.
me.
I mean, otherwise I'm working. Otherwise I'm
Exactly.
otherwise I'm like otherwise it's too much work. But well, let's talk about you live here for half of the year, but you also live in Europe for the other half of the year.
I do.
You are one of the women that I know that travels more than James Bond. So explain to us how does that work. Explain to us first of all what it is that you do right now. I know that we talked about your company with your family, but you're your own woman now. Tell us what you're doing right now.
So I work for a travel technology company. Basically, we work with hotels around the world and help them reach different travelers. Very similar to like an online travel. We don't not an online travel agency, but our platform helps companies like online travel agencies access product, basically hotels. So I do business development for that travel technology company called Roibos. It was co-founded by my husband.
Yes.
So
Big shout out to
big shout
Jaime.
out to Jaime and the Roibos team. It's a fantastic company. It's headquartered in Mallorca, and because of of course work, but then Jaime living in Mallorca, I travel back and forth throughout the year.
How's that? How long is the travel? How long is it to from here to Mallorca?
It's 3 flights at least, and probably between 20 and 24 hours total travel time, if I don't have long layovers. But at least it'll be 21, 22 hours.
Jaime, if you're listening to this, bro, she loves you. She loves you. That's insane, girl.
Yeah.
That's
We do this. We take turns. So he comes, and then I go, and we try to see each other at least no more than 4 weeks spent apart. So one of us is getting on an airplane every 3 weeks.
how many miles do you have saved up? Do you have like one of those credit
Oh
cards where they have a
my
lot of
God.
miles?
Let me tell you, I just made my gold status with Iberia, and I was like rejoicing because I was like, finally, after 5 years of traveling like this.
How many miles is that?
Oh, I can't even remember, but it's
She
a
doesn't
lot.
even want to disclose it. Is that how much it is? Uh, how you both are in the same industry, so I'm guessing that helps. But how does that affect your personal life? Not to get into very personal stuff, but as a businesswoman, I'm pretty sure there are some things that get in the way. How do you guys deal with that?
And in our case, it might be odd because we both have an entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
I also help grow my mother's business. Actually, that's how we ended up meeting. He founded another software company. My company, or my family's company, had the need for the software he
That he had,
sold,
yeah.
and we met 20 years ago like that. And so we both have that entrepreneurial spirit, and we both have a passion for travel, a passion for technology. So it's actually fun because we can engage in amazing conversations on how we're going to innovate and change the hospitality, landscape. And so I think actually provides
Value.
yeah, and it makes our relationship a lot tighter because we share some of those things that nourish both of us as professionals.
Yeah.
In terms of creativity and giving each other feedback. But we're also very wary on when, hey, if one of us is really not in the mood to engage in professional
Business.
conversation, we both have that kind of relationship. We're like, today I don't want to talk about, work. Let's talk about, I don't know, Netflix show that we saw, or just more regular couple things.
That's very hard.
And both of us are like, okay, cool. We don't take it personal. We're very respectful of in the mood that both of us needs to have to go into that professional subject.
When you are driven as you guys are, both of you, there are good times in business, and then there are bad times in business. And one of the questions that I always ask to all of my guests is, it's all roses and it's all great, it's all champagne dreams and living the life. But then things get tough because that's just business. It's ups and downs. How do you maintain that positivity and driving through every day with knowing that maybe you have a bad quarter? How does that affect you and really your relationship, because you guys are on the same boat? How do you guys deal with that, with the bad times? Not that you're going through bad times, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, when times are tough, it's not easy.
Yeah.
To maintain a positive mindset. So I guess there are a few strategies, and this is a great question because I had never stopped to pause and think, what do I do? You just do, right? And first, I think we try to nourish our mind with reading. We're both like Tony Robbins followers,
Yeah.
and that just kind of reinforce that positive mindset. Remember and remind you the things that you can control and what you can't control. Because sometimes so many of these things that are affecting your business,
They're outside of your control.
they're outside of your control, and we get so frustrated and so wanting to change that. But you got to remember, this is what I can't control, and going back to focusing on what you can control, finding the opportunities in hardship, to me has always been very, very important, because I also found that you tend to get more creative when
Under
you're going
stress.
under stress, when you're and a lot of evolution, a lot of growth, and a lot of it's inspirational things come out of hardship. I think some of my most pivotal moments in life and changes that I've had to make, both professionally and even personally, have come out of hardship.
You mentioned that when you're going through hard times, you just put your head down and you continue doing it. That's extremely hard to do sometimes because we have a lot of outside noise and the stress of life. How do you deal with it? I mean, how do you just keep on doing the same thing?
Well, I don't know necessarily if I keep on doing the same thing, because I always like a saying that if you do the same thing, you're going to get the same results.
Insanity.
Exactly, insanity. But rather, one of the things that I was exposed to a few years ago was, I'll say it in Spanish and translate it in English, which is la semiología, and it's the translation is a study of. Semiology is a study of. So I was introduced to the semiology of daily life, which basically is a study that allows you to understand why you do what you do, why you think the way you think, and why you act the way you act. I don't know if we ever stop and step outside of our own self and look at your own self and see what am I doing and why am I doing what I'm doing. So the study, the semiology, helps you understand everything that has happened to you in life, starting from when you were in the womb and what your mom was eating when you were in the womb, how you were raised, and allow you to gain this awareness of all of the things that have marked you, made you who you are, to identify things that you need to change.
Experiences.
Exactly. How these experiences have marked you, like your signs of abandonment is the translation in English. But I think when you gain that awareness of, I'm doing this because of this, you're able to break patterns, you're able to grow, you're able to make conscious changes that in turn lead you to be a better person and have a better quality of life.
So you don't let pretty much when the bad things are really happening, you don't let them affect you as much as
They affect me, but I think I try to now step outside and understand, why am I reacting the way am I reacting? Is this out of my abandonment issues, or is this something that I can control, right? And try to make the necessary changes in the mindset to overcome the things that I'm doing. And then, of course, if there are other changes that I can do, get help. Whether it's whatever I'm going through, whether it's help from a professional, help from a friend, different strategies that I need to implement in the form of action.
Is that something that you always work on? It's not automatic
No, I think ever since I gained that consciousness and I
knowledge.
was exposed to even that, I've always tried to be very aware of why am I going through this right now, whether it's physical or emotional. And how can I help myself? What are the tools that are out there? But in a way where I'm stepping out of my own self and observing me.
It's very hard.
It's hard, but it's super interesting. I don't know if it's easier or not when you gain so much awareness, but for me, it is life-changing.
I don't know about you, Jenny, but for me, if I'm not in a stressful environment, if I'm not against the wall, I will not work as hard. That may be a problem, but what are your thoughts on that? On living with a purpose, and we know that it's hard. We don't have to commit sometimes to the things that we commit to, but where do you stand on that in regards to having, and you kind of mentioned it already, but let's go a little bit deeper in regards to, because you work in the same field, so it's kind of very hard not to talk about business all the time. I mean, I talk to my girlfriend about business all the time, and she doesn't even do real estate. Has there been a point where you guys go, has there been a day where you guys don't talk about business? One day. She's thinking about it hard. She's thinking about it hard, guys.
I think when we have taken a couple of trips that they're really trips to disconnect, I think we've been conscious about, hey, we're here to try to disconnect. This is a time to meditate, to take, be in each other's company, to reflect, gratitude. Maybe we do talk about business, but not about the hardship, but more about, hey, how lucky we are that we've got this company.
Right, 100%.
More of, the purpose of the trip is that to recharge.
Yes.
So I think we try consciously not to bring negative thoughts or worries or anything into our zone.
Into your little circle.
Yeah, because the whole purpose of that is, and we're here to recharge. So we got to talk positive, how much we're going to grow, all the things we need to do.
But you still talk about business, though.
There is a business, yeah. You got me there. We still do, but I think it's the way.
It's a good kind of business.
Conversation, yeah. Because otherwise, in the day to day is like, man, this happened and this is going wrong. This is going great, and we had all these issues, but we also had these wins. Whereas, when we try to shift the conversation to a little more of a positive focus when we're looking to recharge.
You know, one of the things that I've been doing when we go on vacation, and I didn't do it before, and it was a mistake. Is I don't take my cell phone anymore.
You leave it here in Vegas?
No, I take it with me, but once I get to the hotel, I do a couple of things. I look at my emails in the morning, right, or any fires that I need to put out. I call my mom and my daddy, my brother. Hey, everything good? We all good? We're good. The dog is good. Okay. Then I put it in the safe, and then I leave, and I don't look at the phone until I come back on the beach. I take a look at it very briefly, and I leave it there because I found myself.
Checking emails.
It's ridiculous. So going back to what you were saying, during those 3 4 days, I don't pay attention to the phone at all. I completely disconnect. However, I do enjoy my life, so I do see it. What's it like to live in Mallorca? Tell us a little bit about that. What's the culture shock? What's the difference between living in a desert versus an island? Right? Is that what it is?
Yes.
See, I know my
It's
geography,
an
girl.
island.
Shit.
The Balearic Islands. And it's off of the coast of Spain. Mallorca is one of the Balearic Islands. If I mention Ibiza, everybody's gonna know Ibiza. Everybody's
Ibiza.
everybody's gonna know where Ibiza is, but not a lot of people, surprisingly, will hear of Mallorca and say, "Oh, I know where that's at." And it's the largest of the 4 Balearic Islands. It's amazing.
Yeah?
It's dreamy. It's just beautiful. I mean, I have no words to describe. I love it. Absolutely love it.
A lot of cruise ships go there, yeah?
Yeah, not a lot, but yeah, there's definitely 1 or 2 cruise ships that are making Mallorca port, especially in the summertime.
I need to come visit you.
You gotta come visit. We've
I
been
know you
inviting you
haven't
for
said.
like
I
6
know.
years.
I know. I need to come say hello.
You have to. It's actually Mallorca is a tourist destination, just like Cancun is for like Americans and Canadians.
I love Cancun, by the way.
Mallorca, I know. So Mallorca is that to the Germans and the Scandinavians and the UK, for example. There's a huge community of Germans and British people living on the island, or using it, or actually having second homes on the island.
How's the real estate there?
Super duper duper expensive. It's getting out of control. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of complaints from the locals because they are pricing out the locals, and now the locals are getting, running out of places to live. Downtown is extremely expensive.
Yeah.
So the locals are getting kind of pushed out into like the suburbs, of the island.
Wasn't that happening in Mexico City as well? I was reading an article that because of a lot of people that work remotely come in dollars stronger than the peso, and they're buying. It's
Exactly.
the same thing that's
Very
happening.
much so. And also what I was mentioning, the second residences for Germans and British and a lot of those, the Scandinavian market too. That's what happens. They come in, with being able to afford all these great places, and then the locals are priced out.
What is the what do they do in Mallorca? I mean, we're that's what I'm saying. Like, what
Yeah,
is
what's the economy?
What is the economy?
Driver.
What? Yeah.
Tourism. 100% tourism, yeah. Now, granted, unlike Las Vegas, that we've got year-round tourism, their season is, I want to say April. I think it's April, or even early May, to October. Come November, I think it's November 1st, all the way through, I want to say March, most of the hotels are closed out. They're closed down. They're closed. Doors are shut. Except for a few here and there. But
How do they maintain?
I think they pretty much make their money in their
during the good
period,
times, yeah.
and then they they save or they prepare for the downtime.
But you don't decide when you go visit Mallorca.
No,
right?
I'm there. I try to because I do a lot of trade shows because of my job. I
Yep.
still do a lot of trade shows in Europe. So I try to combine the attendance for the trade show and then spending a few days in Mallorca. So, and then when there's no trade shows, then it's just when it's my turn to go.
By the way, that's like I said, you're James Bond. I mean, the fact that you live in Mallorca and that you travel all over the world and you have a beautiful home here in Vegas. Let's talk about a little bit, Jenny, because I know that it's very, very. You have a passion for it. You got into dancing a little bit. Do you still dance? Do you still pursue it? Do you just it's something in the past?
No, dancing will always be one of my passions. I started dancing when I was 19 years old. That's how I met my daughter's dad. Um, and we actually opened up a dance school here in Las Vegas. It started as Broadway Hall on Decatur and Desert Inn area. And then it's evolved. Now it's called Latin Blends. So a little commercial here. If anyone
Yes.
wants to learn how to salsa dance,
There you go.
visit Latin Blends
There you go.
on South Rainbow. So I stopped teaching about 10 years ago. I think it's when I stopped teaching. But I still social dance.
Okay.
So I love going out to different, nights that have Latin night or
Yeah.
salsa night, and put my heels on and get back on the floor.
Does Jaime dance?
He's learning. He's learning. I'm teaching
I was
him.
gonna say you kind of have to learn.
Yeah.
You know.
He prefers bachata. Bachata, I think he's getting it down.
Everybody
likes bachata.
Everybody likes bachata. Come on.
Yeah. But salsa, he still struggles a little with salsa.
It's a hard thing to learn how to dance, man. You really gotta think quick and do the math. But you have natural talent. Though. You're also a singer. You also play guitar. Do you? We need to get together one of these days and start singing.
Bohemia, Chris. We've been. That's how you and I met.
That's how
Out
we
of
met.
Bohemia.
I met you in 2014.
Yes.
I think it was 2014. So you used to do a Bohemia night back here in Vegas, which was actually really cool. It was this event that I don't know how often you would do it. I heard about it by the way.
About once a month. We
Was
were
it?
doing it once or twice, or once or every month or 2 months.
I remember my brother came in, and then he goes, "Hey, we're gonna go to La Bohemia." I'm like, what is that? Is that a restaurant? What is it? He's like, no, it's this girl and her husband, and they do this night where singers go and poets go and comedians go and all of this entertainment goes. And I go, okay. So I heard about it for a couple of months. I really did. Then I don't know. How did I go to your house? I was dating this girl, and this girl knew you, and she goes, "Let's go to Jenny's Bohemia," and I go, "Jenny, I've heard about Jenny's Bohemia night."
Yeah, we used to host this at our house, and it started just like a group of us getting together because I play guitar.
Yeah.
So I'm like, let's get together. I'll bring out the guitar. We'll bring out glasses of wine, and we'll just sing. And then
That became huge.
It became huge because everybody's, I have a friend that plays something, and they will bring their musician friends.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, I think we had one that was like 100 people, and it was like people that played guitar, violin,
It was great.
trumpet. You would bring your electric guitar, and we
I
went through
fe-
different genres. I don't know if you remember that too.
I think So full disclosure, honey. I think I only went to Bohemia once.
What?
It was like the last I may have gone twice.
I think you came twice.
Twice. I was once or twice, and every time that I went there, I left your house like at 6 a.m. It was, it was like I was highly intoxicated, which was great. And
Those were good times.
but then we also had a great time at your mom's house.
Yeah.
That was fun too. That
We
was
did
fun.
a Bohemia at my mom's house too. Yeah.
That was a lot. That was a lot of fun. What made you guys? I mean, you kept that going for a long time, though.
We probably did it about, I want to say 2 years. And then when I moved to my mom's house, and I think that's when I ended up buying my house.
Mm-hmm.
And my daughter was older, and, just time.
Everybody changes. Everybody
Yeah.
changed.
I still love, and I still find people that used to, know me from the Bohemias, and
Yeah.
just Saturday they're like, "When are you gonna do another Bohemia? We gotta do one get together." I really want to try to do one before the year ends because I have a few friends telling me.
My brother and I were talking about that era, which was about 2014.
Yeah.
2014, which was great because we were younger, and we're having a great time. And we were talking about, can you imagine if we do a couple of those parties? Will they be the same? And he goes, probably not.
No. We'll probably start earlier for one.
We're gonna start at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. All right. There's gonna be no alcohol until 5. So because we got to measure ourselves, because we gotta last till 8 p.m.
Exactly.
No, those were some great times. Are you still singing? Are you practicing? What are you doing?
I do karaoke. I have karaoke at home. My daughter, who loves to do karaoke, and she's an amazing singer.
Yes.
So her and I will have a little karaoke nights together. That's one of the things that we do, as mom and daughter. Like, hey, let's do. I'm ready to get some. Let's sing some songs and play in the karaoke, and we'll sing until 1 or 2 in the morning. So that I
You
still do that.
you never pursued it, huh?
Professionally, no. And this is a crazy story. At one time, remember when La Academia was going on?
Yes. Yes.
So my friends like, go audition, go audition. I still didn't have Sophia. I was 21 years old at the time.
Yeah.
I was so close to actually going out and auditioning.
Why didn't you go?
Um, I was really tied into the business, and I said, and that's when I was deciding.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, if right now the business is in the process of growing, and my entrepreneurial spirit was kicking in. At its
That's a killer.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then I wasn't sure if I really wanted to do that as a career because as much as I loved it,
Yeah.
um, it wasn't really like driving me to even go on auditions. So.
No, it's a hard thing to do too. I mean, I think you did the right thing. I didn't think. No, no. By the way, you could have probably made it big there too. But there's something about like that entrepreneurship spirit that
Yeah.
we have. It's just for me, it's fun. I was having a conversation with somebody, and he asked me straight out, and it took me by surprise because this person knows me really well, and he goes, "So you really like what you do?" I go,
No, you don't.
I go, yeah. I was like, yeah. You don't see yourself doing anything else. I was like, not real. I've been doing this for too long. I'm too committed. I really enjoy the art of everything. That's what I do. But for most people, when they see that I used to be a musician, they go, well, isn't that more? Isn't that a lot more fun? Sometimes it is. Sometimes it isn't.
I think it's also different because this happened to me with dancing.
Yes.
When I was dancing for pleasure and for fun and for hobby, it was amazing. Then when I started dancing for work, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love the studio, love my students, but there was a change in that now. I guess that it was a purpose, right? My purpose with dancing was when I was just doing it as a hobby was to satisfy myself, right?
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
move my body, enjoy the music. Whereas when I started teaching,
It becomes a
now
gig.
it becomes a gig. You owe yourself to your students, to people that are paying you. So the purpose now is to teach. It was completely different. Not that I didn't enjoy it, but that's when I said, I don't know if my hobby and my hobby and my work
Align.
should be aligned.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to lose a spark in the hobby and the things that I enjoy as a hobby. So I think that's one of the reasons I also stopped teaching.
You know, that relates to me in more than the more than you know. I enjoy playing music highly. It's one of my guilty pleasures. I really enjoy, especially I've gotten an opportunities to play with really good players, and to me that's just great. That's just like, oh, that's actually good. But when it becomes a job and a routine, and you're playing the same songs, and then and like you said, you have a responsibility towards whoever hire you and all that stuff. Then it becomes a real gig. Then you start thinking, oh man, this is not as much fun as it used to be. So I'm super happy that you're keeping it. That you're still singing. We gotta get together and we gotta sing other things. How long are you here in town till, Jenny?
This time around, a week and a half.
That's insane. That's insane. When are you coming back? Are you leaving? What is your situation now in regards to traveling, Jenny Patterson?
So I'm off to Mallorca for the summer. So I'll spend all of July, the remainder of June there, and then come back for my daughter to start school here, and then back to every 3 or 4 weeks
That's incredible.
until next summer. And the idea
That's
is to do
incredible.
that for a couple more years, and then once Sophie's off to college,
Yeah.
I'll make the permanent move to Mallorca. That's the plan, long term.
Listen, I need to come visit you to Mallorca. I really do. I mean, you sold me on everything. That you have hotels with 60 people in it. That's about it. No entertainment. I mean, come on, I'm sold. Jenny, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate your time. It's a pleasure seeing you. You
Oh,
are as wonderful as ever, and thank you once again.
Chris, it was such a pleasure to be here. I missed you.
I miss you too. I
I'm
miss you
glad that I
too.
got to see you, and I love your friendship. I love our relationship. Congratulations on the amazing podcast. I'm really wishing
Thank
you
you.
the best. I think this has to keep on growing.
We got 32 subscribers right
Oh
now.
my gosh. We're going to spread the word and
That's
help you
right.
grow that. And good luck with real estate.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
with all your all the gigs and all the things you've got in the works.
Thank you so much, Jenny.
Oh, I love
Thank
you.
you. Love you too.